Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there, so please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money, so check it out and throw some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks.
Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try to make your world a little weirder. I'm Nile.
And I'm Jules. Let's cut the shit.
Oh my god, we're dropping the... Do they ever drop the bit?
Let's cut the shit.
Yeah, let's cut that shit right
My
out.
name is Jules. I'm in for Kyle this week.
Yep.
Now, Kyle left me a lesson plan.
That's true.
It's right here on the desk.
He said, I'm on part 2 of a thing, so they already have the basis. You can just follow through and finish it up for me.
And guess what?
What?
I'm standing up on the desk and I'm ripping that in half.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
Exactly. And I'm rolling in the TV cart. Bring it in, boys.
Wow.
We're watching a documentary.
Imagine you showed up to school, say you're in high school, and you had a substitute teacher, and then they wheeled in a TV, and you didn't know what was going to be on it, and then they played this.
Yeah. I would like you, this podcast, no.
Yeah,
the movie we watched this week. Actually, I feel like I would have gotten more out of that one viewing of this documentary than I did in almost all 4 years of high school.
Now that is a denouncement of our educational system.
I mean that, yeah, purely as an indictment of the American educational system.
Well, you could say this movie in some ways might be a bit of an indictment of the American educational system, but more so the I guess the American media system. So this week,
and the church.
Yeah, that's a big one. Oh boy, the
Let's
Catholic
get
Church.
into it. This is juicy.
So,
are you tantalized to hear what we watched this week?
Have we teased this enough? Have we tickled your ivories enough?
For real, Kyle's shitting himself to death again.
Yeah, he can't stop.
This fucking guy can't stop shitting. And I haven't told you about this, but
okay.
I have a suspicion.
Okay.
That Kyle has been faking these illnesses and he's been duping you.
Is he running from the grind?
From the grind.
Yeah.
In a way.
Okay.
I think, much like the average It Gets Weird listener, Kyle's favorite episodes are when you and I co-host. And he plays hooky to get a new episode of his favorite podcast.
I mean, do you think that he has? I think this is a good theory, but I want to ask you one clarifying question, or maybe kind of alter the theory just a tiny bit. I think Kyle has the fortitude of character to not fake an illness to get out of a podcast. I think he actually gives himself food poisoning.
Okay, yeah.
I think he's specifically and knowingly making himself unable to record.
Well, it would feel dishonest and he wouldn't be able to enjoy listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
So in order to enjoy his favorite podcast, he has to be actively shitting his brains out. So he gives himself food poisoning bad enough that not only does he miss the record, but he is still sick by the time it comes out.
Yeah.
The timing is tricky.
Yeah, it really is. That's why he's honed this over the course of years. So
thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers to Kyle.
To Kyle.
I hope he enjoys being banter fodder for 2 episodes in 1 week.
I know I enjoy it.
Oh yeah, we love it.
I call you when I get off of work sometimes and we chat while I walk to the train station. And I was doing Kyle banter on the phone with you because I enjoyed doing it so much on the bonus episode in a good way.
Yeah.
We love Kyle. We stand Kyle in this house.
That's true.
I actually think that we should have
a framed portrait.
A portrait of Kyle. Literally,
maybe you can sign it.
Honestly,
should we have a signed framed portrait?
Honestly, that would be my most prized possession.
There was a time period in our lives when Kyle and I were living together during college that we one of our plans was to go to like we went to where we went to college was in Muncie, Indiana, so it's a bit behind the times. There was still an active Sears in Muncie at the time. So we wanted to take.
There is like still an active Sears where I grew up.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Muncie one is still there too. They're holding out. They're fighting the good fight. In a couple places.
Did Sears go under? Sears is one of the ones.
I feel like so many of the Sears around the nation have closed and they don't anchor down the malls anymore.
Sears are an old-fashioned idea.
Yeah.
Department stores generally are kind of an old-fashioned thing. Anyway, sorry.
Amazon took a big old shit on them. Mm-hmm. So Sears, we wanted to go take. It was me and Kyle and a friend of the show, Colin, and I think maybe one other person. And we were determined to go to Sears and get like a family portrait done and put it above the mantle at the house that Kyle and I lived in at the time.
Very cute. Those are expensive, though.
Yeah, I don't think we realized how expensive it was.
No, that's the kind of thing you want to do for a gag, and then you're like, "And how much is it?"
Yeah,
because you're paying a professional photographer for their time.
Yeah,
that's like you're scheduling with a photographer
for like an hour, and you have to take a bunch of photos and stuff,
and you have to do it.
Yeah,
like that's the thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration when they want to do a photo shoot as a joke.
Yeah,
you have to do the photo shoot. You can't do it as a joke.
Yeah.
You have to physically be there and live through it.
It's much like you can't eat as a joke.
Yes. You will have to shit it out.
Yeah.
And
still has to process the food.
If you schedule with 3 of your closest buddies and you're all in your 20s and you schedule a photo shoot at Sears, you will all have to touch each other for an hour.
Yes.
The guy's going to make you touch each other. Mm-hmm. Hands are gonna be on shoulders a lot.
One of you is going to have an 1 foot up on the step of a step ladder, and the other one is going to be behind you holding your waist.
And you know what?
Yeah,
it's gonna look great.
You're gonna love the way you look.
But so you probably all were too broke to afford it, and you went, well, I guess it would be funny, but
yeah, it never actually came to be. Maybe we'll do an It Gets Weird photo shoot at some point. That would be funny.
Honestly, I would love that.
That would be pretty fun. Anyway,
who would be in the It Gets Weird family portrait? This is interesting. It's got to be. I'm in it.
Yeah, of course.
I like that I'm in it, even though I'm not. It's sweet that I am like a founding father of It Gets Weird, even though I came in. How many episodes in were you? Probably like 50 by the time we met.
We were in year 2, so it was between 50 and 100, somewhere in there. You
might have been in the 80s when we met,
something like that. Yeah,
I remember dipping into the podcast back catalog. It's like, so I'm a Johnny Come Lately comparatively, because a certain someone who would be on the Mount Rushmore of It Gets Weird was on the first episode.
Was on the first episode, in body, if not fully in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was. Look, of course you and Garrett would be on there. Colin would be on there.
Colin was
there are probably some other people that we put in there.
There's a lot of people. I guess I shouldn't have made you say names because honestly,
we
are a big family.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is how great it is to have people back, even if they kind of fall out of being on stuff all the time, is that everyone who has been on this show is vetted, approved, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very nice to have the family that we have with It Gets Weird. It's really wonderful.
What we need is like a Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah.
With everybody on it. I would love that.
We should just get a bunch of headshots of people and Photoshop them over Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah.
But then just like leave in one of the Beatles.
I had yeah, just one. I had a poster that I believe came with the DVD of one of the seasons of The Simpsons that had every character that was ever on The Simpsons.
Oh, sure.
It was like a Sgt. Pepper's where it was just lines of people.
I wonder because I think I have about the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons on a shelf right there. I wonder if it's in any of those.
I remember that from when I was a kid. And you had that Marvel poster up forever when I first moved in with you, where it was like 200 Marvel characters on one poster.
Man, that one, not to...
I can just sit and stare at stuff like that forever.
Yeah.
That poster was on a wall where I would lay on the couch with my head opposite it and I would just sit and stare at it. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes it made me go crazy. Well, like having to look at it so much.
Yeah. Here's just...
I was like, Hulk, Red Hulk, Black Widow.
You brought up a thing that stirs a very specific thought in me, which is that specific one that I had, that poster that I had in my apartment for quite a while. It was such a specific time in Marvel history that it was made in. Like it had like Angela on it, but it also had like variants of superheroes that only existed in the Marvel Now era that then were gone like a year later, and they had reverted back to the more common variation. So there were just like some really weird additions and subtractions in that poster. Like it was when the X-Men were really downplayed, but they couldn't not have Wolverine and stuff on it.
Yeah.
So it was
that
like,
has to be true about almost any piece of merch made about comic stuff, though.
Yeah.
That like it's outdated within 6 months sometimes.
Because as much as people want it to be, you know, the classic of everyone, there's almost no time in Marvel history short of like the more recent reboots where they specifically want everything to align with, you know, but even then they're aligning with the movie continuity, but like where everyone is at the base state of what they are.
Yeah, and when is anybody ever agreed on what that even is?
Yeah.
I feel like even the idea of like what's the base version of that gets argued about because it's like the first one ultimately isn't true to what's become true about the character. And so there are fundamental things about the character that if you took it away now, they'd be unrecognizable. Yep. So the base state actually starts 10 years after the character debuted, when this writer took over.
Yeah. It's usually when the people who read the original runs as kids then started writing the books. That is because that is the first people that grew up with an idea of that character in their heads.
Yeah.
That then they got to force on to, you know, unless there's someone like Chris Claremont who just like wrote stuff for so long that they became the definitive voice on it. Whatever.
Shouts out Chris Claremont.
Yeah. Shout out Chris Claremont and all of your interest in BDSM and weird
shout out Chris
dynamics
Claremont. Honorary. He's going to be on the Sgt. Pepper's It Gets Weird. Why not?
This is the thing. I can never actually do something like the Sgt. Pepper's thing for It Gets Weird because I would just want to put so many random people on there that have nothing to do with it.
That's what it's for.
That's
literally what it's for. What do you think Sgt. Pepper's is? This is the thing.
Yeah,
that's what
right.
Sgt. Pepper is. It's jokes.
I thought it was all John Lennon.
Yeah, it's John Lennon's all the way down.
Okay, I don't think I've even said the name of the fucking movie we watched
Jesus,
yet.
we watched a documentary about Satanic Panic.
Yeah, and specifically the book of Michelle Remembers. This documentary was released in 2023 by Tubi Films, and is entitled "Satan Wants You." So this is a very recent documentary. It also is the first documentary that I believe that we've watched for this show, or me just watching it in general, put out by Tubi. I wanted to see kind of how they position documentaries, just because I haven't watched any Tubi generated content yet, and this was the first thing. And
you wanted to find out the truth about Tubi.
Yeah,
you were willing to roll your sleeves up and put the effort in.
Yeah.
And get to the bottom of this.
Because honestly, I'm an investigative journalist specifically for budget streaming services.
Yeah. Free to watch streaming services with ad breaks?
Yeah.
I'd like to know more.
Hey, Tubi, big thumbs up. Howdy, fuck off.
In this house, we do not respect Howdy. If you fuck with Howdy, we don't fuck with you.
So
it's called Satan Wants You.
Correct.
Good title.
Yes.
Good documentary.
I
guess we're supposed to say that at the end.
I mean,
but I don't really care.
Look, you're an anarchist. I can't keep you constrained. We can't. There are no rails.
I meant good. I heard myself say good documentary, but I meant good in terms of, I should have said high production value, because that is more what I mean, where it's easy to watch, easy to understand.
Yeah.
Presents its case well. Here's one note I'm going to bring up right at the fucking top.
Hit me.
I want to ask you how you feel about it. What do we think when documentaries do dramatizations of what people are saying happened?
I don't look, I think that it is one of those things that it really depends on execution, because dramatizations can very much flavor the perception of the words being said, and also they're never just even if you have photographs of the scene, there's no way that it will be 100% accurate. You know, it is a recreation that is for filming angles. It's for whatever they might know about it, but there are going to be inconsistencies no matter what you do with recreations. And so I have no issue with documentaries doing some form of recreation. I think that they should be very noticeable, that they are specifically made for this. Specifically in this documentary, let me just point out and make my point based on that, because I think this one does them well. In that, most of the times you get a recreation, it is silent, it is somewhat hazy in production, where like there's literally like a glossy film over it. So everything's a little bit blurry, and it is a lot of times like slowed down, and it is just being put to establish the kind of dynamic of, because like a lot of this is the recreations are of sessions of a form of hypnotic regression. And so what they're doing is they basically have the positioning of the two people that are involved in this session, and then it kind of glosses over, and then you get the text. So I think that they did them in a pretty, I would say, responsible way.
But they also did dramatizations of her memories that are kind of cartoonish, wild. Like, to me, it was classic Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, it is
like,
very much in that vein.
That's the way that they're doing these. And my two biggest notes that I can say, like, really concretely about this documentary are that, one, I think the dramatizations walked a line, because I agree with you that there's good and bad. And I think the ones you're talking about are good. I agree with what you're saying about the dramatization of the therapy sessions, because it shows their faces in shadow. It's all blurry. It's never showing footage of them talking. And then it cuts to a picture of a tape machine, and it shows the text over the tape machine. That's clearly showing we don't have footage of this. It's an audio tape.
Correct.
But the ones where she would be saying something that happened to her, because the basis of the documentary, we haven't actually said this yet, is that it's about a book called Michelle Remembers, that is about this woman who late in life uncovered repressed memories that her mother gave her to a satanic cult, and that she was tortured by that cult as a child. And so the documentary does these dramatizations where it shows the therapist and her actors playing them, but physically where they're situated on the couch or whatever, and it shows the woman like being animated, and then it plays audio clips of their actual therapy sessions in between. But also what they do is, when they're talking about things from the book Michelle Remembers, they have actors playing Satanists who are acting the things out in a very made-for-TV movie way.
Yes.
And so those I don't like as much. Here's my favorite way to do a dramatization in a documentary.
Please.
Animation.
Yeah.
Hire an animator. I think that animation immediately clearly delineates, we don't have footage of this, but this is what the person is saying happened, or this is what the audio implies, or this is the text that we have, but this is how we're going to show it to you visually for a movie. I love when it's animated.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really like, there's some animation in Saucer Spooks and Kooks that I really liked, and there's some animation in a couple others that we watched.
I think animation is a brilliant way to go about it, even if it's just like, even if it's like rotoscoping actual footage that you take of actors or whatever. I think adding the sheen of it being animated makes it clear we didn't film this, and we're not trying to imply that this is exactly how it looked.
Yeah.
So I like that better in a documentary, because I think documentaries I do think documentaries should have a responsibility to show you what are primary sources and what are conclusions that they drew. Like that's what I prefer.
Yeah, I think that there's like, I do think people should know the score, because like I think of like the Rodney Asher documentaries, you know, your Room 213s, your or 213, your Glitch in the Matrix, whatever it's called, where it is kind of telling this fictionalized, like you're doing the documentary where you're basically believing the sources, and I like there is some playing with truth there in a way that I think some people would see as unrealistic or off a little bit.
I don't think so, though. I think that those are actually a pretty good example of what I'm talking about, where like they're using stock footage over and over and over.
Yeah. Because
they don't have the footage. And I think that they are just a presentation of, here are here's the person. This is what they say.
Yeah.
I don't think that really contradicts what I was saying.
No. I guess I was taking it on a different direction.
I think that there are some documentaries where the documentarian, leaving me stuttering,
will do,
clearly has an opinion and they're wrong, and the documentary is about their opinion, and some of those piss me the fuck off.
Yeah,
I think that like music documentaries have a tendency to be really dishonest.
Oh, for sure.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think that dramatizations in music documentaries about bands are often some of the worst, hokiest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. Or you want to like some fucking skewed documentary filmmaking. How about Dark Side as a series? We're taking a side on this.
Yeah.
And we are going to... I'm not taking shots at Dark Side of the Ring because I like that show.
Yeah.
But I think that it is very biased.
Yeah, I think that like they do it all in shadow so that it you can delineate recreation from reality, but it is...
Oh yeah, I don't mind their recreations.
No,
I was talking about tonally letting your opinion be the fact of what it is. But pretty much all made for TV documentaries in that way, like Unsolved Mysteries. You pick a side. That's what those shows do.
And like, I think that this documentary does have, like, I don't know how to delineate between picking a side and coming to the reasonable conclusion.
Yes.
Because,
well, here's my other note.
Go ahead.
My second note plays into what we're going to talk about now, which is I think that this documentary didn't do a good enough job at the thing that they were trying to do. I wish I knew more about movies so that I could say what this is an example of, because I'm sure there's a name for it.
Okay.
When a documentary is about a controversial subject and they spend the first half just trying to present it to you as plain facts of what happened. And then the second half is a turn where ultimately they reveal to you that there was something not true about the first half.
Yeah.
And this documentary failed at that because the tone the entire time was that Michelle remembers is bullshit.
Yeah.
But they tried to have, they tried to have a turn where then like, but now we're telling you the book is bullshit. But in the first half where we were just presenting the facts of the book, it was apparent to me based on the tone of the interviews that the documentary filmmakers did not believe the book.
Correct. Yeah. I think that it was
clear to me from like the first less than 10 minutes, probably.
The thing that wasn't fully clear to me until the turn was if the documentary was going to try to have a hands-off just presenting the thing versus actually kind of taking a side on it. And I think that this documentary largely does end up taking a perspective on it. But without like I think it is a reasonable conclusion to make from all of the facts. So I don't really have a problem with it. But But
I'm saying they were too obvious in the first half about the fact that they didn't believe the book.
Yeah.
That was too sprinkled in the first half. If you want to have the structure of your documentary be that there's a turn like that in the middle, you have to actually just present the facts in the first half.
And they did.
They were
right
so
about that.
biased against her, which, like you're saying, where do you draw the line here? Because this to me is a thing where it has been completely debunked. It is factually, there's no fucking way that this happened to this woman.
Correct.
The book is full of lies and it caused a lot of tangible harm.
Yep.
So I think that it's okay to do a documentary about how it's bullshit, even though you could still buy the book and it's not, you know what I mean? It was never in that way disproven, the book specifically.
Yeah, I did like the thing about the Church of Satan suing them and having them have to cut out all of the mentions of the Church of Satan from later pressings of the book.
It was really satisfying because we were sitting watching it and both of us were thinking, are they really not going to pick a side on this? Because it's clear they're interviewing people who think that the book is bullshit.
Yes.
Multiple times clips of people, they would be going, well, I try to keep an open mind. And that's how they said it. And then it would cut.
Yeah, it would hard cut right when there's about to be a butt.
Yeah, and they were about to go, but this lady was full of shit. Truly, you can tell.
There are two people specifically that, like, you can tell from the second they're introduced that they want to be like, yeah, this is fucking nonsense. But they try to cut around it to keep that mystery alive. And I think that, like, it almost feels like at some point they realized we would have to edit this beyond, like, we'd have to make what the interviews that we recorded, we would have to basically fake quotes from them to not show that this was bullshit,
that they had
in the first
disdain
half.
for it.
Yeah.
That the people that we're interviewing don't believe the book. But it was really satisfying when finally, because I turned to you at one point and I said, they keep cutting that guy short.
Yep.
The FBI agent
Yeah.
keeps getting cut short, and he obviously wants to talk shit, and they're not letting him. And I was like, are they going to let him talk shit? And you were like, I'm holding out hope, basically. Like, let's see. And then okay, so the two main characters of this are Michelle, who is the Michelle of Michelle Remembers.
Yep.
And then her psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Is that his actual title? Her psychiatrist.
I think it's technically psychotherapist.
Larry Pazder. Is
Yep.
that what it is?
Lawrence Pazder.
Pazder, who did these therapy sessions with her that uncovered her memories. And it was really, really satisfying because you get to know as characters in the documentary. I'm going to refer to them as characters because this is the language that I use to talk about movies, but they are all real people and this is a documentary.
Yeah.
But the cast of characters that you end up learning about, you learn about their families and stuff. And Larry's ex-wife is one of the people that they're interviewing. And when it said ex-wife, I was like, it was before they had revealed that it was a scam.
Yep.
And I was like, but she's the ex-wife, huh?
Yeah.
And when they finally played a clip of her saying, she said, to me, the turning point of the whole documentary is that she says, one day I was watching Sybil. And they played a clip of Sybil. Did you know what Sybil was before they said that?
I've heard of it, but I did not know the plot of it. No.
Okay. I knew about Sybil, and Sybil is like a pop culture reference that I know. So I knew enough about it to know that if you say, okay, Sybil, I get what you're saying. And so for listeners who might not know, Sybil it was like Sally Field's breakout role, I believe. Sure. That she was like unknown before that more, I think. Am I crazy?
I don't know.
It was an early Sally Fields performance.
Yeah.
That was like a sensationalized thing based on a book. It became a series, and it's about a woman undergoing really intensive therapy and uncovering repressed memories of abuse in her childhood. And Larry's ex-wife says, I was watching Sybil, and I immediately went, and did Larry see it? And so she goes, I was watching Sybil, and I remember Larry came home and he saw Sybil on the television, and he said, I want to do that.
Yeah, he's like, I have a patient that is exactly like her, and I want to do that.
I could do that. But he meant be as famous as Sybil. Like he was like, I could do that. And so I immediately went, okay, great. This documentary is about to go the fuck off.
Yeah, that was the first of like 4 bombshells that they dropped.
But it picks up really fast from there because
Yep.
that's pretty late in the documentary. Like, I don't even think it is perfectly half and half.
No.
I think that you spend a decent amount at the beginning just them explaining, like, here's the order of events as Michelle and Larry say they happened.
Yeah, because the whole thing with the Satanic Panic is, and like this era is, you know, this fervor that swept the nation as all of these things were getting uncovered. This is one of my kind of not really complaints, but thoughts about this documentary is that it is very focused specifically on the book Michelle Remembers. It tangentially covers the larger Satanic Panic a little bit as it relates to this book and the damage that it did, and kind of people will talk about other cases and stuff. But it doesn't fully give you the cultural context of the kind of regressive puritanical streak that was going through culture at the time.
Yeah, like the reason that the book blew up the way that it did is because we were already in a hotbed that was looking for something like that. I do agree that they could have done more culturally about that.
But like I think that they made the correct cuts to put together a digestible length documentary about this one thing. Like, if you tried
I
to start
think that
adding the other things that I'm talking about, you would have to make it a mini series, and that would get kind of unwieldy and would just be a different thing.
I think that they set up their thesis to be small enough in scope that I think that they made a good documentary.
Agreed.
Because the thesis is Michelle remembers is the reason that there was satanic panic in this world. I was about to say country, but it's crazy how I think you could go lots of places and they know exactly what you're talking about.
They did clarify that it's not like 100% solely responsible. There were other things that came out around the same time that like led to it as well. But this was like, it's considered patient zero.
Yeah. I think that it was the thesis of the documentary.
Yeah.
Is that like the book Michelle remembers it did a lot of damage, and we're going to talk about these two people and how they did damage
in the miniseries version of this documentary. The episode that I might be most interested in is the episode on the industry built around teaching cops and social workers and stuff about satanic ritualistic abuse, because like it became a fucking industry for 5 years. Or like,
do you want to get
years.
into it with me about how I fucking have a vendetta against social workers? You know what one of my least favorite cries on the internet is?
Social workers instead of cops?
Yeah. We need to defund the police and give all the money to social workers, who are notoriously great people who treat kids really well and are honest and upstanding fucking members of society. There's no corrupt social workers in the world.
Yeah.
That when they showed that conference room that was all social workers taking notes on the woman talking about satanic cults, I was like, "Yup,
yeah,
that sounds about right to me."
It's a
now,
system
if you're
like
a
any
social
other in
worker,
the
I'm sure you can be a decent person. It's not as corrupt of a system as being a cop. I'm not saying you are a cop if you're a social worker. It's different. But what I will say is, I've been in the hands of some bad fucking social workers.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of them.
Yep.
And they fit in the system. They do not give a fuck.
Yeah. So like because this is the thing that they started bringing in the FBI agent before they introduced this full thing. He kind of was talking us through the rise of these like conferences and seminars about this sweeping grand evil that was across the whole nation and continent and everything. And like I really liked his he talks about going to one specifically that was run by Pazder and Michelle
about how to tell the difference between a genuine uncovered repressed memory of satanic abuse and when the person is lying. That he had like this is advice for law enforcement about how to tell which are genuine.
Yes.
And that the FBI guy goes, I was very steeped in the work at the time and I was looking forward to some tips because I think that you do have to decide. I didn't think all the people were lying. I didn't think all of them were telling the truth. I thought that was part of what my job was. And I was like, yeah, tell me more.
But he's like, yeah, you know, cops ask a lot of questions. And every time they would ask a question, Larry would answer. And so he asked, you know, so these things happened to her and there were these uncovered memories to her. Why are you answering all the questions? And he made up some bullshit about like how in regressing them and them coming out, he is the keeper of them and she forgot all of them after the memories came out.
She uncovered all of these memories over many, many, many hours of sessions of therapy with him. And then after they got them all on tape, she doesn't remember any of them anymore.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if you're bullshitting.
Except when she's interviewed on TV.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. She gets interviewed about it all the time, and also she wrote a book about it. I think you might remember writing the book.
Yeah, it's such like it's easy with hindsight to go like, how did anyone ever fall for this?
Yeah.
And I can't say for sure if I had lived through it in the way that like as an adult how I would feel about it. But there are so many things, especially after doing this podcast specifically, where it's like, oh, this just falls apart so easily. But like even in the time, the thing that the first thing within the first like 10 minutes of this documentary where I really it did not pass the sniff test was they made a specific thing that she was not undergoing hypnotic regression. Instead, she spontaneously, through Lawrence effectively just going like, just let it go wherever you need to go, like just follow the feelings and whatever. She devised her own deep dive into her psyche that she could get into just by closing her eyes and breathing. That
she
allowed
said
her
through
to...
some very deep breathing and Larry's support.
Yeah,
is how she did it.
And
okay,
it's like, so you're not, because like hypnotic regression is a thing that we've talked about quite a bit on this podcast. We have talked about the ways that like there's the guy that I don't remember his name off the top of my head, that a lot of times his patients just happen to have had sex with aliens a lot of the times and had alien pregnancies, which just happens to be the thing he's researching. And he just happens upon all of these people. There's a lot of the person, because you see it in this documentary in a similar way, how whether like coming down after watching this, I cannot with 100% certainty tell you who was fully in the driving seat for these stories coming out in the form they are. Because like it is either Michelle was pulling on stuff she knew about Larry, or Larry was chasing the thing that he was interested in and leading Michelle to use those details. And I don't know exactly the causality of that. But this Michelle's story ties into a lot of things that Dr. Lawrence was already interested in his work in Nigeria, where this is my favorite thing that they could have, one of my favorite things that they could have really roasted his ass much more for, where he basically went on a work with like a Doctors Without Borders type thing to Nigeria and took a bunch of pictures of stuff that he didn't understand and decided to graft them onto like a satanic cult. And
one of my favorite sound bites was that the nuns in Nigeria said he was evil and that he needed to go.
Yeah. It's like there's such a like cultural tourism colonialist view in the works of Dr. Lawrence that like
his ex-wife was also like, he loved cameras and he would film everything and he just had a fascination with it. And it kept showing this footage from his home movies from Nigeria of some kind of ritual. This was the other thing that I felt the documentary could have talked about. What were they actually doing, these African people? Because they don't really get into it and I don't know.
Correct.
But there is basically footage of these wooden masks covered in blood and a chicken with its head cut off being bled out. And he was like, this shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Like he like,
and
you can just picture this little white boy in Nigeria having his mind fucking blown in 1968 or whenever it was. When was it?
I think he was there like in the 50s or
in
something.
the 50s or the 60s. Because what year did Michelle Remembers actually come out? It's like late 70s, right?
It was 80.
Is it early 80s?
I think it was like 80.
It like broke 80s.
Yeah, the book came out in 1980.
80.
The session started in like 78.
Yeah. So he's already an established doctor by then. And their relationship was that they were patient and therapist for 4 years and then didn't see each other for a year.
Correct.
And then she had a miscarriage and called him. And he decided to start seeing her again. And that's when she uncovered these repressed memories.
Correct.
That's also, I feel, very important. I think that she was an extremely troubled person and that this all was born out of them both being obsessed with each other. That, like, it becomes so evident the more details that you start to uncover about the way that the sessions were and how much time they were spending together. But at the very beginning, they said that they were doing like 6+ hour sessions. And I was like, so he's fucking her.
Yeah. It's one of those things that they tried to tell the story in a way that was reflective of how it was at the time. But with a modern lens, there are so many creepy, weird little details throughout that, like, that's going to the whole thing of them trying to do that turn in the middle. It's almost impossible in a modern context to make that turn work in this story if you use any details at all.
I am trying to think of anyone I know who, if I said to them, I have this friend and she's married to this guy and he's a psychiatrist, and there's this patient who calls him at home and he is having 6+ hour sessions with her where I don't see him until very late at night.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he gets home, she calls him. I can't think of anyone that I know, any reasonable person who wouldn't go, they're fucking. They're fucking each other?
It's wild how much you introduced me to a wonderful film that I had not seen, that is in some ways kind of an adaptation of this of some of the tropes of this story, and it's called What About Bob?
Yep.
And it's, that takes a much different turn, but it really, there were times when they were describing that where I just was sitting there going, man, I guess What About Bob is not as ridiculous as it seems.
Although, What About Bob is kind of the opposite, where his family loves Bob and he hates Bob.
Yeah, it is.
In this case, the family hated her and thought she was a stalker, and the doctor got obsessed with her. Yeah. I won't even say in love with her, because I think she was in love with him in her way. But really, they were both just obsessed with each other.
Yeah, it really feels like Dr. Larry just wanted to be famous. Like his wife even kind of says that with the Sybil thing, is like he wants to be.
He said
celebrity.
that he wanted to be famous. Like she said that he said that.
Yeah.
But also, like, multiple people had that impression of him, that he enjoyed the limelight, he liked attention, he liked being respected by people. Mm-hmm. He wanted that to be a widely held opinion of him, and I really enjoyed how many women there were in this documentary talking shit on him for being that way. Like there was just like an army of women ready to be like, that guy was an asshole. And then there's that one poor woman who was credited as Michelle's friend.
Correct.
But who worked for them typing up the sessions. And she references that there was a team of people transcribing the sessions from tape.
Yeah.
And so she was an employee of them both.
Yeah.
But she was credited as Michelle's friend. I think that poor woman got caught up in something that she does not understand. Yeah. She's the only person in the documentary who is willing to say, I fully 100% believe everything Michelle said in the book is true.
Yeah, she said, like, didn't she say, like, I believe something happened to her?
She said, I believe something happened to her, but she said, these are not fabrications.
Yeah.
This really happened to her. I don't think that she's picking or choosing. I think that at one point she said that she knows that Michelle wanted to please Larry.
Yeah.
And that she's not sure if Larry fully understood what he did, and that the book was bad and that Larry was responsible for the book. Yeah. But she says 100%, what Michelle remembered is real. That happened to her. I've heard the tapes and I believe her.
Yeah.
And she's the only person in the documentary willing to do that.
Yeah.
Willing to say that.
A thing we haven't said yet is Michelle is not in the documentary. Larry died.
Larry was dead before they made the documentary, but Michelle is alive, and the very last frame of the documentary says that she was not willing to comment.
Yeah, she declined to be featured in the documentary, but her sister is in it. And her sister is featured more heavily in the back half. She talks, the place that she starts to get really interesting to me is in the book tours, where she met up with them and she was like, we had a couple nice dinners though. Like, the way that she talks about it, there's never a point where she's like, something bad actually happened to my sister. She's always talking about it in this kind of like, yeah, she was doing this thing.
She said, I saw her on To Tell the Truth, and I literally called her and I said, fuck you. I just saw you on TV.
Yeah.
The fuck? And as a person, I feel I have a much more complicated family history than you in terms of the fraught relationships between people.
Sure.
And I have some insight into the idea of having a family member who all of a sudden, like, completely unbeknownst to you, starts saying something happened in your family.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I don't remember that. And to me, I could tell from the first frame of the sister talking about her sister that she didn't believe anything that Michelle said in the book.
Yep.
She knew that all of it was bullshit, and that she was like an honest person, like that she's telling her true, like her actual recollection of what happened. There's just an energy of people who have been fucked around by family members that way, where it just is like, yeah, you've been through it, sister. Same with Larry's ex-wife. As soon as she started talking, I was like, yep, you know the score. You've got it figured out.
The two of them and the FBI agent were probably my 3 favorite talking heads in the documentary.
Mm-hmm. I liked the guy who his opening line was, "I was the first Wiccan priest in the police department."
You're right. Yeah. He was pretty good.
He was okay. He wasn't as entertaining as the other guys
but
were.
that was pretty
the
good.
sociologist who had the exact same beard since 1985 also was pretty good.
Yeah.
He just had the same beard but gray. It cut to him present day, and I was like, same glasses, same beard, same exact face.
He literally looked like when a video game character gets aged and they don't want to change them too much so you can still recognize them.
Yep.
It was like the haircut was just a little cleaner and a little tighter and a different color. And you're 100% right. He was up there.
I think it was a good like group of people though. Like I think that there was enough variation in what part of it they would be an expert in, where they were focusing on different topics. And I wonder, because you're saying it was made by Tubi. Do you actually know? Did Tubi buy this after it was already made, or did Tubi pay for it to be made?
That I don't know.
Because to me, it seemed like it was trying to appeal to the Netflix house style.
Yeah, it looked a little... I think that might be right. It's
kind of making a murderer.
Tubi got a card at the top, but...
Netflix does too when they acquire.
Yeah, like
if you acquire it, it becomes a Netflix original.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
The rest of that is there are like 3 other cards at the top, so it very well could have been something that was made and then shopped around, and Tubi ended up with it.
Just from the cursory Google that you did of the people listed as the directors, I think that they probably just professionally do made-for-TV stuff like this.
Yeah,
and that they made it, sold it, and then Tubi, it's a Tubi original.
What's weird about this documentary specifically is there is a Vinegar Syndrome release of it physically.
Cool.
Which is like...
That's smart.
It's cool that like I like the stuff that Vinegar Syndrome picks to do, because like they've started to kind of branch out from just doing like... Because like they started out in like kind of horror, exploitation, softcore stuff that other studios didn't want to touch as much. And now they have branched out a bit more into doing kind of weirder, like not weirder, because the stuff they started out with is kind of strange, but like they've branched out in a way that now they can put out a documentary about the Satanic Panic book, you know, and it's interesting.
So you were saying to me before we watched it that you generally have kind of a fascination and you're drawn to mass hysteria as a topic.
Yes. And
that was why you wanted to watch this documentary. When you first pitched it to me as the thing that we were going to watch, I immediately was like, Satanic Panic is an interest of mine.
Yes.
I don't know if I would... Do you think that mass hysteria is an interest of mine? I don't know. I was about to start to, because I think I am also drawn to similar stories like that, but I don't think of it. I don't know if I would immediately use the words mass hysteria, but let me just, I feel like it's the topic of child abuse is kind of a third rail.
Yeah, it's
so
verboten.
I'm picking my words really carefully of how I want to say this right now, because I feel like I always wonder how I'm going to be interpreted by people when I bring this up as a topic. But I have a complicated history. I was a child once.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that. And so I have always been drawn to topics like kind of around that, especially this idea. Because from the time I understood what Satanic Panic was, it was already in the stages of being debunked and being talked about as, we trained these kids to say that these things happened to them that never happened to them.
Yes.
And that is the aspect of it that I would say I get the most fascinated by, because I think that is one of the most horrible, sickening things that I can imagine, is to be in a position where you have never abused a child and then have a group of children be trained to say on the stand in a courtroom that you abused them. And that is like the most chilling thing about this documentary to me.
It is one of those things.
Are the many cases that came out of Satanic Panic in this fucking country where we did that to people.
Yeah. There's a point in the documentary where they just start talking about various cases of like, you know, daycares and preschools and various schools that had stuff like this happen. Of course, what I mean by that is the psychiatrist coming in and having kids make false statements that it happened. As far as anyone can fucking tell, this has never happened in real life. But they start just like putting a bunch of clips of various people getting like 229 counts of child abuse. When
that was the most
innocent.
I literally got nauseous when that headline came up. 229 counts of it, and you didn't do it.
Yeah.
And you didn't fucking do it. And your picture is in the paper under the headline. Oh my God, it's horrible.
It feels like this is a point they might have been able to hit harder, but there's comes a point, I forget exactly which talking head says it, but they were like, no, it's literally one of the women that was falsely imprisoned says it. No one wanted to doubt the children.
Yeah, you didn't want to doubt children.
You don't want to be the person saying this child is lying about getting tortured.
Yeah, and so and the stuff is crazy. I don't even want to say it. They rattle off a list of the stuff and she looks so sick in that clip. Yeah. Just hearing the list, and this is after she's been freed. Wrongfully convicted people. That is a thing that I am like. I have phases where I get really obsessed with it because, man, there's a lot of really heinous cases of wrongfully convicted people. Right now, it's happening right now.
Yep.
We wrongfully convict people all the fucking time in America, and it's fucked. And you will serve a life sentence or be killed wrongfully, completely wrongfully. Yep. Absolutely no justification for it happening. And that's why I am against the death penalty, against the carceral system as it exists right now. Like, it's fucked.
Yep.
It's all fucked. And so, like, that is a thing. I feel like my introduction to it, I wonder what year that actually came out. The documentary about the West Memphis 3. There's like a big documentary about it.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I'm sure there's a few, but the one that I remember being like, that it was popular at the time.
Because that was like the tail end of the Satanic Panic. Right?
Yes, because it's fairly more modern. It happened in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
It actually, like, so it's like, because I would classify Satanic Panic as being 80s to mid 90s.
Yes.
Of it actually being like a fervor in America. So West Memphis 3, I don't remember all the details of it, but I remember being at a pretty impressionable age and my mom wanting to send money to Damien.
Yeah.
Like wanting to help Damien because she felt that he was on death row wrongfully.
Yeah. Like,
and so like that was kind of my introduction to it. So when I think about it now, it's like that aspect of it I'm very fascinated by. And I like to learn the stories of the people who were wrongfully convicted because I think that they deserve to tell their stories.
Yep.
And I remember there being, Damien used to, actually, is he even alive anymore? I haven't looked up West Memphis 3 in such a long time. So I'll just say that before I say anything else because I don't know what is true about him anymore. But I remember at the time, there was, he like would do conventions. He must have gotten out and then he would like do conventions and he brought a tattoo gun with him and he would tattoo you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He would like tattoo a symbol on you that was like his symbol. If you supported him. I remember that being a thing.
Sure, I believe it.
Anyway, that was kind of my that was my introduction to it, was being like a little kid and learning about the idea that a bunch of grown-ups would do that to kids because they were teens when they got accused of that.
Yeah.
And like the fact that like how do groups of adults do that to kids? It's crazy.
I mean, like
let's get into the Catholic Church. How do groups of adults fucking do this to people?
Oh my God. when I said earlier they dropped a couple bombs, the miscarriage was the next one, and then revealing that the church kind of the Catholic Church of that area kind of funded the production of this book, and it is entirely
literally, like, the woman goes, they subsidized the book, and you went, oh my God, out loud.
Yeah, because like what I do like about the documentary is they basically drop that, and then they cut to the Catholic Church covering up sexual abuse of minors in itself, and it's like, yeah,
exactly,
it is a misdirection thing, but then they have the FBI guy going like, but then the Catholics say that will say that those are Satanists invading the church and trying to bring it down from the outside, from the inside.
If you present them with a case of a priest that obviously like was molesting children and perpetrating abuse, they will say that is a Satanist.
Yeah.
That wasn't a real priest. That was a Satanist impersonating a priest.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. It is there, like, there were a couple times that we literally just paused the documentary because one of us just had to like
let me just vent
out
for a second. This shit is crazy.
It's
a topic that, like, I go from 0 to 100 in terms of the amount of sick and upset it makes me.
I get very very head up about certain things in this documentary.
Jail in general is such a touchy topic. I can't think of a way that you can talk to me about prison in America, and I won't immediately be like through the roof upset about some aspect of it, because it's fucked up. It's completely fucked up. And man.
Okay, so to take this to a different fucked up avenue, I want to talk about a thing that I like this documentary and how it portrays it, is how much the sweeping concept of satanic ritualistic abuse was peddled on daytime talk shows. They talk a lot about how after publishing this book, both Michelle and Dr. Pazder become effectively experts on the subject of satanic cults, despite the fact that neither one of them has ever talked to an actual Satanist or witnessed anything.
But they're experts in this thing they made up.
Exactly.
And that's true.
That is the best way to sum up this entire documentary, is like they rode the coattails of this thing they made up through like the talk show circuit and then the lecture circuit for like 5 years, and meanwhile they got married.
Yeah.
And
they made up a bunch of bullshit, and then everyone begged them to repeat it over and over. Like, that is the thing. Like, everybody wanted them to talk about it. And I think about people who are in that position where, okay, I don't know if we're doing a really good job clearly saying the line of events that happened, but these two people clearly conspired to write a false book. I don't even really care. Like, Michelle might have believed that the memories were real, because a lot of the cases I do think were when it picked up when it got popular to have these uncovered memories. Psychiatrists started manipulating people to have them. Correct. Because they wanted the money that comes with that.
Yeah, they had a woman who talked about how, she spent like 1.3 million on herself, and then her 2 daughters were also in like 11-month-long inpatient therapy
over the course of like a really long time, paying for these really expensive therapy sessions. And so I think that Larry wanted to be famous, and he manipulated this woman. I think that she wanted to get with him, and she was trying to manipulate him back. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if either of them realized where the truth started or ended, because that is, people delude themselves when they're in situations like that.
Yes.
And I think there were points in the documentary where I thought, when you're in that deep and people are rewarding you for it, you would absolutely go along with it, and you would keep doing it. I can't.
They were in too deep.
I think it's like, what are you going to do? Admit, like, everybody's whining and dining you. You're staying at these really nice hotels. You get to be on TV, and you're going to go, actually, I made it up. I don't think so. Why would you?
Yeah. It is.
I don't know, except for all the lives you're going to ruin.
That is the thing. I really liked. They kind of got to the end of everything where people started going to prison, and then they brought back his ex-wife, and his ex-wife was like, once I found out that people were going to jail because of the book my ex fucking wrote, I decided to do the legwork and like because she basically went to the school that Michelle went to.
Here's the thing. In the book, Michelle says, for 14 months from this date to this date, it's so specific.
Yeah.
I was kidnapped and held hostage and tortured by a satanic cult. And then the angel Michael healed all my scars.
Correct.
Great. Okay.
And Mother Mary talked to me in French.
It took decades afterwards for the ex-wife to go to her school and be like, do you have her yearbook for the year that she says she went missing? Mm-hmm. And she's in her class picture.
Yep.
No cops did that.
In the middle of,
No journalist did that. Like, nobody went to the school and was just like, here's the simplest way to prove this. You were enlisted in school. You were at class.
Like, I'm sure the school has, like, attendance records and report
I also
cards.
thought it was weird that the documentary didn't include the sister just saying she lived at the home.
Yeah.
I saw my mom every day, and she was there every day for that year. I lived there, and she was there.
That's the thing that, like,
I would love to have her on tape saying that.
I would love to see the uncut interview with the sister, because, like,
I would watch that raw footage, however many hours it is. She's in, like, so many different locations.
Yeah.
I loved how much they had her talking.
Because she could totally just unravel this whole fucking thing.
Yeah, she was there the whole time.
And because literally one of the first things she says in the documentary, she opens by, making a joke about herself being the gorgeous one of the three sisters, but she says that Michelle was always getting into mischief as a kid. Mm-hmm. And then they don't really bring any of that up for a while.
She also says Michelle was creative and she was always making things. I was like, making things up.
This is the thing where it's like, I understand the thing about the turn that you're talking about, and I understand why they wanted to do that with this documentary, but, like, you can't, if you know anything about it, you can't make an actual reveal because it's all so apparent from the beginning.
I do think whenever we say stuff like that, though, that there is an element of audiences now are trained to need hand-holding.
Yeah.
And that truly this documentary is a twist to an average viewer.
Maybe.
I think that there are people who might leave thinking that the documentary was saying maybe it happened.
Oh my God.
Don't you think?
Oh my God.
Especially because it ended on that shot of the inverted cross floating above the table.
Yeah.
I think that there are people who would be like, it's so interesting because we still don't know if she was held hostage by this cult and if they sewed horns to her head and ripped them off. And they cut her gut open and fucking showed her intestines and shit. Like, it is just from a time when it was popular to write books like that.
Yeah.
We're talking, what's it fucking called? The one where the siblings live in the attic and they fuck each other?
Oh,
isn't that also from the 70s?
I think so.
Like, these books.
I don't remember the name of that book.
Are, I keep wanting to say Flowers for Algernon. And that's
Flowers in the Attic.
That's why I was going to say it has one of those words.
Yeah, it's Flowers for Algernon. I read Flowers for Algernon. I like that book.
I know that one's about a nice mouse.
Yeah,
that one's not about a brother and sister fucking each other.
It's much like Stuart Little. No, I do think that, like, that is the thing. I think when I was talking earlier about how it doesn't do, it could do more to frame the larger culture at the time, because I think that, like, the concept of confronting the taboo was in contention with this kind of pull back into conservatism mindset at the time. And, like, so you have, because, like, in film,
I actually am shocked that they didn't show footage of Reagan at any point.
Yeah, it is like,
we're not going to say, and then Reagan was elected.
Because, like, the political context of that is very much, because his whole thing was running on a return to the 50s, and like, he was the original Make America Great Again, I think. And like, anytime you get this kind of return to nostalgia messaging, it always comes with this, like, fear and conservatism in terms of thought and opinions and stuff. And, like, all of this stuff was a knee-jerk reaction in culture that they don't fully seat, and it makes it sound like Satanic Panic was this, like, kind of unique thing of its time.
Yeah,
you know?
like this book just made everybody start talking about this.
Yeah.
It's like, because I think it, not even just politically, the fact that books like that were popular. It's
Yeah.
like, even at the end, they sort of start to wrap QAnon into it, which I think is thin. I think that's a stretch.
Because there is an element of the kind of... I think that it isn't a direct one-to-one, but I get the idea of this kind of mass delusional thing.
But I think even that, the documentary would be better off if they gave more of a context to the online culture that allowed for that to rise.
Sure.
Because it's very similar to what I'm saying, which is there already was a platform for publishing books where the more sensational, the better.
Mm-hmm.
And you will definitely push more copies if there is more blood, if there is more sex, if there are more shocking things that no one's ever heard
more
of
secrets
someone doing.
unveiled.
Yes. Like if it is scary but titillating, that will sell copies because you can tell that's what Larry is going for.
Correct.
And I think the fact that they both are listed as authors on the book and that a lot of I'd be curious to actually look at the book because a lot of the pages that they were showing, it's like written as paragraphs with dialogue.
Yeah, because I think
Where
a
it's
lot
like,
of
then
it is
she said,
transcriptions of the sessions.
but it's with text where they're writing out as if then the baby was ripped in half or whatever.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's trying to blend that into the feeling of reading a novel.
Yeah,
that's how it seemed to me.
There is every
So Larry was
chance.
embellishing.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing that the typist said. There's every chance what? Sorry, I cut you off.
There is every chance that I end up reading some of this book at some point.
I think, yeah. But the transcriptionist said that she would take the tapes, transcribe the tapes as closely as she could,
Yep.
and try to guess at missing words in audio. That is part of the job of a transcriptionist. That's not her being shady. That I used to be one, and that is what you're supposed to do. And then she said she'd give the papers to Larry, that he would rip parts out and handwrite parts in and have her retype it.
Yep.
That's interesting.
There.
I immediately was like, I know that's standard practice in a lot of ways because he was there and he's correcting for mistakes and he's like checking the text.
Yep.
But that is also him fully fabricating. Like I am 100% positive he was fabricating.
That's the thing. Like, I think that in this documentary, they put a lot of the content on Michelle a little bit. And that's the thing that I don't feel comfortable fully co-signing because of things like that get passed over very quickly. Because like you get Michelle being very, very fanciful and making stuff up, but you also get Larry. A lot of the like trappings of the things that are in the book come from things that he thinks he saw in Africa, and also he was much more involved, it seems, with the actual process of the text that ended up as the book.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that the documentary does try to say there are a couple of things where if you're paying attention, like I'm saying, I think it would be easy to miss this as a conclusion.
Yeah.
But we obviously got there based on what was in the documentary, where they try to say he was training her to say things that pleased him. He wanted her to say things that he recognized so that then he could be an expert on it.
Yeah.
So he encouraged her to say stuff about cutting the heads off of birds, about this ritualistic dancing, about the idea of blood and masks and knives and stuff like, and that those are all things he saw in Africa. So then he could say, I've seen this in Africa. I loved really early on the clip of him on TV saying there are secret societies. There are secret societies like this, and I experienced this in my time in Africa. There are secret societies in Africa where if you tell anyone about them, you will be killed instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. That's my favorite.
As if there's a Suicide Squad button and then it just explodes a device in their necks.
And also, he must know that because someone told him about it and then was killed in front of him.
Yeah. It's like, that is one of the things that is really... I think hindsight helps with this in terms of how we have. I think that in this day and age, people who pay attention are more media literate than people in the 70s or 80s in terms of this kind of thing. And there are a lot
that's
of...
the other thing I have to remind myself sometimes is that the people falling for this, the only thing that they read is like the paper.
Yeah.
And that's where the paper and TV is where they get like everything. Like, not that I'm saying I'm so much better off and more informed now, but it is crazy how much easier it is to get information. And that if I was presented with a story about a satanic cult, that I could immediately look up, is there something I could compare this to? Is there another person talking about this that I could see a different perspective? Like the amount that they were fed one viewpoint where all of the respected people in their lives that they trust to give them factual information are saying that this book is real.
And at the same time, even all your daytime talk shows, which you watch multiple of, and you have your favorites, you don't like that guy, but you love these people. You're seeing these people plastered all over them, talking about it as a real thing that you should be concerned about, and is also going to impact and might harm your children.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, I see why people fall for this.
I think of the church lady in The Simpsons all the time whenever I see, because this is another thing that is kind of hard to say, but I hope everyone who listens to this podcast understands what I mean by this. Anytime that the main thing that an argument is based on is on children's safety, it is generally being used to try to advance censorship on you.
Yes.
And this is trying to invoke fear in you because everyone is there is an innate state of being in humans that I don't know if you want to call it whatever you want to call it, but children need to be protected. That is a maxim of humankind that is, whether you want to call that nature or nurture, I think it's more nurture, but it's like children are vulnerable and need to be protected. Unless you're the beekeeper, and then the olds are the most vulnerable population, even more so than children. But the cry to try to save the children.
The elderly are worse off than kids because they don't have anyone to look out for them. Okay? And the beekeeper is right about that, and you shouldn't disparage it.
I finally have a co-host that has seen The Beekeeper.
The Beekeeper. I'm a beekeeper.
So
I told you, I keep bees.
But like the fact that this whole thing was predicated on this idea, because like even the people that were late age regressors that like found out about it, that they were in their 30s when they had these repressed memories come out, all of it happened when they were children. So this whole thing is based around trying to have some sort of massively coordinated, vile, evil, no redeeming factor, unhuman-like levels of evil that are coming after your child.
Literally, the tagline of Michelle Remembers was like a battle between innocence and evil.
Yeah.
A year-long battle.
And a little girl. Like,
yeah.
It's so...
And so it's like, that's the whole thing. Like, if anyone ever says protect kids to you in a political sense or in a legal sense, they are trying to restrict the rights of an adult. Across the board. That is what that is. And I'm going to go out on a limb. Kids don't need to be protected as much as you think that they do. I think it's weird, this idea that we have to shelter kids until a certain age because then they'll be able to understand stuff. You know how you understand stuff? Experiencing stuff. Yep. There's like, not that I'm saying abuse. I feel like everyone listening to this has to know that I'm purely talking about the idea that we can't expose kids to ideas that are difficult. Yep. So therefore we need to censor adults.
Because what are the difficult ideas? Things that Republican lawmakers don't like.
Always.
Like gay marriage. And
but I'm
like
saying
that.
Even if there are topics that are difficult for a kid, violence and stuff like that, the idea that like we need to scrub all things that kids interact with of violence until they are old enough to understand it, then they will never be old enough to understand it because the only way you understand things is by exposure. Yeah. So you don't get the chance to learn something if you are being protected from it for your whole life. Correct. I hate how much we shelter kids from stuff in a way that is more harmful to the kid than if they overdid it on a difficult topic. Yep. Overdoing it on a difficult topic will always teach you more than being censored, repressed, and protected from it. Yep. I'm so up to here about it, but it's like with this too, it's like these parents, even the parent, like I'm sure a lot of them just wanted attention and were bad people, but there are so many of them where I'm like, I know that in all likelihood, there were a lot of parents who genuinely were just scared for kids. They were just scared for kids in general. And so they coached their kid because they thought it would protect other kids from bad things happening to them.
Yeah.
And like, they knew what they were doing because they had to. The kids had to be coached. Like, there were anytime there is a story that a bunch of kids learned, adults coached them to do it. That was another thing that was really fucked up. There was the case with the daycare where Larry and Michelle were called in to help consult with the kids.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so they taught them what to fucking say? You assholes.
The stories all matched the Michelle Remembers stuff because...
Crazy.
I wonder why that is. Did they bring in the authors of that book? Yeah.
It's so frustrating how then they can say, well, it's consistent because that's the thing. Like, that there's another thing that I wish more people realized. If there is that much consistency between people's accounts in a group telling of something, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
If you are all agreeing on details, that didn't fucking happen. There would be some, don't you think, like, just if you and I went to fucking Six Flags for the day, and then we both were put in a room alone with Kyle and had to tell him about our day at Six Flags, he would be like, different stories. There were some places it lined up, but they were different stories.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that there is an adult abusing kids who they do the same exact thing to every kid that they abuse in the same order at the same, you know what I mean? Yeah. I just am like, you guys are fucking,
It's so like that is like the hardest thing with this documentary is it's all so horrible, but it's also so easily broken apart and disprovable. And so like the idea that nobody in the first 10 years of this book being a thing, as far as the documentary says, thought to try to like put the timeline in the book onto reality and see if it checks out.
Because I immediately was like, how about ask her neighbors if she was at home? How about ask the school? How about ask, like, she didn't go missing. She wasn't reported missing.
Yep.
No teachers noticed her gone. Here's the other thing. In Satanic Panic, writ large, often a thing that they are saying these cults did. Because that's the thing is they kidnapped this girl. They held her captive for 14 months. And she had to be party to the rituals that they were doing. And they were using her as part of these rituals.
Yes.
And often the rituals culminate in killing babies and killing fetuses. Okay? Mm-hmm. Here's my number one fucking question.
Yeah.
Where are they getting the goddamn babies? Where are the babies coming from?
They asked that to people in this documentary in like the old footage, and the answers were generally like, sometimes the cult members bring them. Yeah. And it's like, well, where do they get them?
Where did they come from? Where do they go? Where do they come from? It's Cotton Eye Joe.
There was a statistic that there's a guy that is in the Church of Satan that is one of the talking heads in this documentary, and he talks about...
He was the first Wiccan priest in the police department.
That was the right guy? Okay.
And he says there are 3.7 million babies born every year, and these people say 2 million babies get sacrificed to cults every year. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Because the Wiccan guy said
where he's
that.
like, so you're saying 54%? I remember him saying 54% of all babies.
I probably got the numbers.
I think it was 2,000 and 3,700.
It was millions.
Was it millions?
It was in the millions. That's what's absurd about it. Yeah. It was like that. It was like a huge number, and they still are trying to say half or over half.
And, like, that is still a thing that happens now. The whole like missing children thing is still a thing that people will bring up, and if you look into the numbers, it never makes any fucking sense. But it's a scary thing.
It's not only where do they get the babies, but also because then they say, well, there are breeders in the cults. There are women who it's their job to have babies. Well, here's the thing: they would only get at the maximum you might get if you're really lucky and you hit the jackpot, quadruplets.
Yep.
So say you get 4 babies every 9 months. What if this woman only pumps out quadruplets?
Yeah.
That still is only 4 babies every 9 months. At absolute fucking maximum.
There was a point where I think it was there's a person who did like a 5-part podcast series about this book, and the people behind it and everything. And she was talking about how at like one point it's like it just turns into like a baby factory. Like there are literally
piles of dead babies.
Yeah. And like it would be interesting to a point to try to go through this book and count how many dead children were supposedly involved in the 14-month span.
Because it can't. There's no. They would have to be outsourcing babies from many cities.
Yeah.
Populated cities. Because this is also in a small town where like babies wouldn't go missing without anyone noticing.
Yeah, because
people would notice. And if women were pregnant and then there was no baby, people would notice in a small town like that.
And at one point, literally in this place, there was a hospital that had to put in a bunch of extra security because there was a rumor that the Satanists were going to come and steal a baby from this hospital, and the entire like town like mobilized against it.
So do you think a baby could have gone missing from that hospital without everyone knowing?
This is the thing that is so wild to me about like mass panic situations is like, if anyone stopped to think about any of these things in a real way, none of them make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
And like are literally impossible. So
have you ever known a pregnant woman that then there wasn't a baby at some point or a sad fucking story?
Yeah.
You know what happened with that pregnancy when you know a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
You see her over the course of time get more pregnant. And then there's a culmination of that everyone wants to hear about because people love to hear about babies.
Yeah.
I don't know where these people think that there are like enough pregnant women making enough babies to be sacrificed this much. Yeah. I'm not saying babies don't go missing, because they do, and it's tragic. And it does happen at a larger scale than you would like to think that it happens. But not this fucking scale.
That's the kernel of truth that this whole thing is based on.
Exactly.
It is like there are these fears. Like it's like the whole thing. There's a whole thing in the last couple of years. I think it may have started in the last 10 years, where people will come back to their cars in a parking lot and will take something on their cars as a sign that they have been marked to be abducted by a cartel.
Yeah.
And that is not a thing that has a lot of verifiable cases of it ever having happened, as far as I'm aware.
But it's easy to be scary.
But it's very easy to scare people about it, especially people who have no context for these things. And that's what all of these mass panics are based on, is a bunch of people who are easily scared and have no context for the claims that are being made.
The first time I read one of those posts about being marked for trafficking, I 100% believed it with absolutely no question.
Yeah.
I was like in high school still, I think.
Sure.
And I saw a viral thing on Facebook and I was like, I have to keep an eye out for that. I have to be vigilant about that.
And now like that whole thing is trying to reinforce the traditional family unit, but it's also like there's a whole industry predicated on these like personal safety courses and products and things to put in your car and things to put on your keychain and things to keep in your purse. And it's a whole industry that springs up much like the industry of teaching cops about satanic ritual abuse. And so I get really...
have you ever seen the video though that's like, there's a leaf by my car. They can't fool me. I know somebody put that there and I'm going to bend over and they're going to put a Tootsie Roll at my ass. Have you seen that?
No.
That's like a semi-viral thing.
Sure.
It's funny. I hate to even say it because I don't know. The person who made that video might be an asshole.
Yeah,
but I think that is born out of viral posts about that your car will get marked or whatever, and I do find it really funny. It's literally like a video of a woman walking up to her car, and she goes, it's just a leaf. It's just a leaf on the ground. Yeah. Can't fool me.
It's just one of those things that, like, anytime I see whenever I see the marketing budget behind a thing you're supposed to be scared of, I get so, like... oh, fuck you. Like, I get so just, like, pettily mad. So, not to, like, it feels kind of weird to be laughing at things in this documentary because it's
well, how fitting.
Yeah.
It would be weird.
God damn it.
You never... Every time I try to make that poll, you look at me like, what? So innocent. Doe-eyed even. And I have to cock my fucking gun and shoot Bambi because like you're so disappointed every time I do it. Sorry.
You have to throw that lampshade on big time.
You called your show that. It's not my fault. Talk about fucking entrapment.
Yeah. I did come up with the name, I believe.
I bet you did. You're good at that.
Yeah.
You did you name our podcast?
Yes.
R.I.P. Our beautiful podcast. Mm-hmm. I did the logo though.
You did, and it was a very good logo.
It was actually PD's.
Yeah, I liked it.
I drew that shit.
And I like Kyle's logo too. Kyle made the logo for It Gets Weird.
Yeah, your logo goes hard.
Yeah, we lucked into like to some elements of this podcast that I really like and have stuck with for quite some time.
It's skill.
Thank you.
No, I was saying Kyle has a skill, which is he has an artistic skill and he made a good logo. I don't think that's lucky.
You're right.
It's a skill to be good with words that you title things too, but I'm just saying you were like, yeah, Kyle made a really good logo. We really lucked into things. He worked hard on that, actually. I'm not going to call that luck.
I was trying to be #humble.
One time, I think Kyle said to you that you were really lucky because you got a job right out of college. And you were like, actually, I think I went to fucking college for 4 years. Yeah. That's how I got that job. So I'm not lucky necessarily.
That is true.
So I'll come to Kyle's defense here.
Sure.
And I'll say, I think Kyle's very talented. But it's a skill that he worked to have, that he's good at making stuff like that.
There are very few times in the history of my friendship with Kyle that I've been actually angry.
And you got mad at that? You were at the perfect age to feel indignant about it.
Yeah.
Because it's like school was hell.
Yeah.
And you suffered through it to get your fucking degree.
Yeah.
Like school is hell for anybody. I'm just saying, like, school is not fun.
Yeah.
And you worked really hard to be where you were.
Yeah. There were some rough times in those years.
Yeah.
But yeah,
lucky you. I hate no one should ever say, God, you're so lucky. If someone says it about themselves, you can agree.
You can.
I think it's like a kid on Halloween. Don't guess what their fucking costume is. Let them tell you.
Sure.
I'll let you know how I feel about the fact that I finished college.
Yeah.
I might have complicated feelings about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Is there anything is there anything major that we haven't hit about this documentary, do you think? Because I think we've covered most things.
I think I said a lot of how I feel about it. There's probably like other things that I could get into, like every single detail of every single scene.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it was like, I find a lot of times with documentaries in this production style, they will get repetitive. Mm-hmm. And you start to feel like, all right, no, I get it.
Sure.
But I didn't feel that way about this one. Even though they were kind of repeating some things, I always felt like we're bringing this topic back up to now add another facet.
Yeah.
You are going to have a deeper understanding of it. But I also think that like fundamentally, I can tell I am not fully informed on this subject.
Yes.
It is a pop culture documentary that is made to be a thing that you sit and watch with your friend and split a bottle of wine. Like, I do think it's like on that level.
Yeah.
But I also think it is worthy in terms of, I trust that they were trying to give the most complete picture of what their thesis was.
Yeah. I think that this documentary has a specific goal. And it does a pretty good job at achieving that goal. It isn't the most complete version of the story. It also probably it doesn't go as deep even on the thesis of what it's trying to say as they technically could. But it largely is satisfies both being an entertaining thing to watch, and i.e. being well produced. It flows well. It has decent visuals and sound. Everything. Like I saw. This is just entirely whatever. I was just looking on IMDb while I was looking at just like figuring out the director and everything. And there was like a 2-star review that was like, you couldn't read the text on the backgrounds and the audio was mixed like shit. And I was like, I don't think that's true.
Those were old tapes.
Yeah. It was just very like
I feel like genuinely that is someone complaining about the tapes because the text was all over the part of the tapes as well.
Yeah.
Because the audio in the rest of the documentary is not mixed badly.
No.
In terms of what, leveling? Like, what's their problem?
They just
maybe
said
they have a bad speaker.
Yeah, it honestly felt like they were watching it on a poor, either on a very small screen that wasn't great and like didn't have a.
But I wouldn't be surprised if sincerely they were just like, why every time it cuts to the therapy is it all scratchy and it sounds like shit?
Yeah.
Because I did think it was an interesting choice that the captions of the therapy sessions were red text in a weird italicized font.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they could have been slightly more legible. That's not. I personally didn't have a hard time reading them, but if that person did, okay. Yeah. I think that the audio was fine though.
Yeah. I think that this documentary was at the very least competently made.
Competent is like the perfect word for it.
Because
it was competent and entertaining.
Yes, and in a way that I think like I feel like I say this a lot in this series because we watch documentaries of wildly different levels of budget and production and quality, and this is on the much more watchable, decently informative without dragging and getting too bogged down in super minute detail, and I think leaves you either, if you are just a casual interest in the topic, you can stop here, but if you're not and you want to dive deeper, I think it gives you enough of a foundation to know where to look on things you want to expand more on yourself.
I think even if you only get out of it that you're going to look up the people who are in it talking about stuff, that you'll look up that podcast, you'll look up the journalist who was saying that she was writing the stuff debunking Satanic Panic.
Yep.
You could look up the sociologist who clearly has spoken on this as a topic. Like, these are all things where it's like immediate avenues to have more information about this as a topic.
Yeah.
That I think would be really interesting. And also, I had never heard of this book. Like, that was brand new to me. Just the idea that this was a book and that was what happened in the book.
Sure.
I think I've heard the title before, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I didn't know the full details of it. It is a thing that in looking at the Satanic Panic stuff in the past for this podcast, I've come across the name of the book and knew that it was a major part of the fervor, but I was usually looking at the Satanic Panic from slightly different angles.
I think that Satan Wants You is yet again, that's a classic, like, Netflix house style, like make it a attention grabbing title.
Sure.
But I think that I think it sets it up as being as if it's an informative documentary about Satanic Panic, and it's not.
Sure.
Like, I think it's an informative documentary about the way that Michelle Remembers influenced the rise of Satanic Panic, but it's not a factual documentary about Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, it would need more cultural context to be that. I feel like it should be called like Larry Dictates, Michelle Remembers or something. You know what I mean? Where it's like, because it's about those two people
Michelle
more than
Remembers,
anything. It's like, it's a sensationalized documentary about the psychology of those two people and why they wrote a fake book.
Yeah.
That's what it's actually about.
Yeah, it's about the two of them and the
because we didn't even get into the fact that, like, you mentioned it once, after the book is extremely successful, both their marriages fall apart and then they get married to each other.
Correct.
I wonder if they were fucking each other.
Oh, and we also didn't fully say in the sessions there were parts where she was going through such distress in her recall
they both were shirtless and cuddling.
That they were cuddling on a mat on the ground.
Cuddling. Yeah. Here's what I think, because I said, why would they even include that? And at one point there was an actual photograph of it
in a magazine.
Magazine. But here's what I genuinely think.
Sure.
They got caught in a state of undress by a person at wherever his office is, and they had to say it's part of the therapy.
Yeah.
And if they went back on that, they would have been outed immediately.
Because
they got found shirtless together.
Because I think also this era, you could very easily say this is a new form of psychotherapy that requires these kind of things. It's an unusual technique, but I'm perfecting it and I'm going to write papers on it in the future. You know, like that was a thing that I could definitely. So I think you might be fucking spot on there.
Yeah. And also men are stupid and they think that if they can legitimize something, then they'll be allowed to do it.
Yeah.
I need to have her take her fucking top off.
Uh-huh.
I can't therapy her if I can't see her bra. Okay,
Yeah.
Larry.
There has to be skin to skin contact.
All right, Larry.
Yeah.
Fucking cool it.
Yeah.
It so bummed me out the way that his daughter was like, he had a twinkle in his eye and he was a great dad and I loved him so much when I was little. And then he met Michelle.
And she literally says, like, the only good thing to come out of his death is that Michelle was out of my life.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Because that's another thing. I feel like that is such a... you know how there is a genre of 90s film of a divorced dad learning to be okay around his kids. Like, I was about to say learn to love his kids, but it's not even that. It's like learn to not abandon his kids.
Yeah.
I feel like that the 90s were such a time of fraught divorce and women being horrible to their husband's first family.
Well, you see, because the dads are so overworked. They work so hard and they can't.
But the new woman is always being horrible to the ex-wife.
Yes.
Like, it's so brutal, this idea of Michelle getting obsessed with him and then getting him and then treating his ex-wife like that. Like, it's just like, she didn't do anything to you, dog.
Yep.
It's not her fault that he'd rather be married to her. Like, it's his fault. You should be mad at him.
Yep.
You should be mad. We're all mad at Larry.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of mad at you, Michelle, but I'm more mad at Larry.
Yeah, it's...
So I think if you like watching popcorn documentaries, like Netflix style documentaries, because I don't mean that as a slam. Yeah. I've watched plenty and I like them.
This is a great thing. This is the end of the episode. We talk about who is this for?
Yeah. Okay.
So I think people who watch unsolved mysteries, people who watch Netflix true crime documentaries, people who watch, as you said, popcorn, sensational documentaries of like crazy things that have happened. I think this fits squarely in that, and is.
I think it's like a really
entry.
good B+ tier of that.
Yeah.
It's not A+.
No.
But it's B+.
It's not a groundbreaking documentary that will.
But I'm saying even in terms of the like fun, entertaining aspect of it, it's like it's kind of a downer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the parts of it that are somewhat sexy or funny are sexy and funny, like the way that I'm saying sexy, like shiny fun.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Titillating.
Yeah. But then there's also, it's a bummer. Like this episode turned into a bummer at one point. Mm-hmm. So does the documentary. But it's entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like...
Don't you normally give a review?
Oh, we do. And there's a specific way that we give
I think there's
reviews.
A house style.
There's a house style. So let me, as I tend to do when I'm doing this with you or someone else that isn't Kyle, I'll take first crack at it because I feel that takes the pressure off slightly. So I'm gonna go ahead and give a review in the way that we do here at Fuck Your Documentary. How would I say this? Fuck Your Documentary. Very just confident, middle of the road, good. You know. What's your read? You're gonna go like Nicolas Cage levels, bring in the German expressionism.
What if I give you Fuck Your Documentary? No, I don't. That's not my actual read. You said do an impression, and so I did Jack Nicholson. Everyone, that probably didn't read on mic, but I held my hair back as if my hairline was receding.
I thought you were doing Tim Heidecker doing Jack Nicholson.
I'm not Kyle. Kyle's not here this week. No one is doing an impression of Tim Heidecker. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to lock in. I'm so bad at impressions. If you just ask me to do an impression, I'm not going to do an impression, but this is to give an example of the thing I'm struggling with right now. It never sounds the way that it sounds in my head. I never make the sound that I think I'm about to make.
Legitimately, that goes through my head every time we do this thing. And I always, after I give my Fuck Your Documentary take, I'm always like, that wasn't quite what I wanted.
Yeah. So then you explain what you wanted it to sound like. Fuck Your Documentary.
Sure.
I was trying to hit like, I'm at work and I go, did you see the new?
Sure. Yeah, this would be a good water cooler documentary.
Did you see that Tubi about the Satanic Panic? You gotta watch that. fuck your documentary.
Yeah. That's
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
This is very talk about it to your coworkers. Sure. All right. Well, I guess that'll wrap us up for this week. Thank you all for listening. Do you have anything you wanna say to wrap this up?
I think everyone should go out and listen to Atomizer by Big Black. It's on Spotify.
Sure.
Much to Steve Albini's chagrin in heaven.
Sure.
But there's a song on Atomizer.
that is
It's my special interest.
Yeah.
Is the song Jordan, Minnesota. Genuinely, this is like I was trying to think of a way that I could shoehorn it in talking about it on the episode, so I'll just say it here. Genuinely, Steve Albini, while he was still in Big Black in his 20s, fell hook, line, and sinker for one of these stories that there was a town in Minnesota where the entire town, all of the adults were abusing all of the children in this town, and that it was part of a satanic cult where they were all diddling kids. And it came out later that it was a hoax, and he spent his whole life eating crow about it and having to tell people, I don't stand by that. I fell for a thing that was absolutely fake. But guess what? It's a great song. Great song, great album. You can check out the live version. Live version isn't on Spotify, but it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually, there is one live version on Spotify, but not the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Because Pig Pile's on Spotify.
Yeah.
So check out Atomizer, everybody. Good album.
Good album. Long live fucking industrial noise rock. I guess I will do a version of our normal plug. So we are technically still on Twitter, but fuck that. We're on Blue Sky. If you look up It Gets Weird, we're on there.
I'm on Blue Sky.
True, you are. Do you want to give your at?
No. You can
Jules
find me
on there. Kyle streams on twitch.tv/itgetsweird. He's currently working on finishing up a Nuzlocke run with Colin, I believe. So check that out whenever those streams go up.
I wish I could watch that. It's always while I'm at work.
Yeah.
Genuinely, it's so fun the times that I've gotten to pop in. And if you are free when they're streaming, it's fun. They're chill. They are a chill hang, and it's fun.
It's a lot of the people that are in our Discord are in the chat, and the Discord is a wonderful community of people that are very cool and chill and fun to talk to.
Yeah, so if you're not in the Discord, I think you should go out right now, download Patreon on your cellular device if you don't already have it, sign up for It Gets Weird on Patreon. There's a $1 tier where you can just give a tip, a $2 tier where you just get access to the...
It Gets Weird TV every other week.
I was going to say one of the shows in the Discord. And then there's a $5 a month tier. All of these are per month, where you get the It Gets Weird TV every other week, or World of Weird. But then, or those are just alternating weeks.
And
you get all of it.
You get it every week, and then you also get
how'd I do?
Access.
I got pretty close.
You got pretty close. You got access to the Patreon. To the Discord, you also get main feed episodes two days early on Friday instead of Sunday.
And you get to vote in the polls to decide what show they watch for It Gets Weird TV, which is a really fun show where Kyle and Nile pick a TV show, and they watch an episode of it every other week, and they discuss that episode. And right now they're watching The X-Files.
Correct. We are finishing up season 3, so there will be a poll for a new show in the next couple weeks as we wrap up season 3. So if you want us to watch more X-Files, get in there and vote for that. If you want us to watch one of the other things that's going to be on the poll, or if you have a show you really want to be on the poll, you can send that to us either at itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com or in the Discord /Patreon. All those places you can contact us.
Or by carrier pigeon.
True.
If you're nasty.
Kyle's address is... No, I'm kidding.
Dox that motherfucker.
You think I know Kyle's address off the top of my head?
You want me to? I could probably get closer to his address than you.
Oh, I bet.
Do you want me to just... Are you done?
Yeah.
Do you want me to throw a bomb and then leave?
Sure.
X-Files is mid compared to any show I've ever recommended that you guys watch for that, and my shows never win. And I think X-Files is an overrated fucking show. And you should try doing a good show. You should try shopping at a real store.
All right. Hey.
Bye. I'm leaving.
Yep.